I realized that it's a series of lectures, so it really requires effort on your part, especially mga teachers, very very busy mga teachers. So I appreciate the fact that you have taken time out to learn about Ignatian pedagogy. So what I'd like to do is give you maybe a short input lang. And then what I'd really like to listen to would be your questions or your feedback, no? Or comments about Ignatian pedagogy in general. Um, maybe my guess is that you're just beginning in your journey, no, on Ignatian pedagogy. You're just beginning to learn about Ignatian pedagogy. So all your questions are going to be welcome. Okay, so with that, I'd like to share my screen. I prepared a short input, no, just to provoke us into talking, no. So so learning by refraction, as you know, is our proposed approach to Ignatian pedagogy. You are newcomers in Ignatian pedagogy, but in the Jesuit schools, we have been, you know, thinking about Ignatian pedagogy, and we've been talking about Ignatian pedagogy all this time, no, for the past 30 years, ever since it first came out. Uh, and many teachers sometimes are turned off by Ignatian pedagogy because they've been trying to do it all this time. So I'm actually happy that you're a newcomer to Ignatian pedagogy, because you are looking at it with fresh eyes. Sa mga Jesuit schools, that was the very reason we came up with this project of learning by refraction, no? Because we wanted to find a new approach to Ignatian pedagogy, no? So maybe just to clarify the terms, no? So Ignatian pedagogy, it's a pedagogy, it's a way of learning and teaching, but it uses a particular approach, a special distinctive character, no? Colegio de San Ignacio is, I assume, an Ignatian school, no? So I'm glad that you want to find a way to learn how to teach in the Ignatian way, no? Looking at this diagram over here, the iceberg, um, Ignatian pedagogy would just be the surface, no? It would just be the surface. But the bigger part of the iceberg, which is underwater, that's really Ignatian spirituality, no? Yan ang pinanggagalingan ng Ignatian pedagogy, no? As you have maybe heard from the lectures, no? Ignatian spirituality is a special way of seeing God and the world, and a special way of living one's life, no? And although it's not necessary to know Ignatian spirituality to teach according to Ignatian pedagogy, it will enrich the practice, no? So I'd also like to spend some time talking a little bit about Ignatian spirituality later, no? So ang Ignatian spirituality ang pinagbabatayan ng Ignatian pedagogy, no? So maybe a way of talking about it very simply is that usually in our lives, no, when we experience an event, we immediately react, no? Especially these days when it's such a luxury to pause. It's such a luxury to quiet down, no? Lagi tayong nagmamadali. If we're not busy with our work, we are distracted by our devices, no? So there's just so many things going on. So there's really no time to pause, no time to think. And usually people just react. Kaya nagkakagulo ang mundo ngayon dahil ganun, parang everyone's just reacting, no? Ignatian spirituality is about pressing the pause button, no? So that before we even react, we reflect first, no? Before we act. So instead of reacting to the experience, we reflect first, we pause and reflect first before we make our decision and before we take our action. This is what discernment is all about. And discernment is the heart, no? Is the very center of Ignatian spirituality. So later on, I'll say a little bit about discernment just to sort of clarify what it means, no? But I'd like to focus on Ignatian pedagogy. So Ignatian pedagogy is based on this, no? Kaya Ignatian pedagogy has experience, reflection, and also action, no? So that's Ignatian pedagogy, plus context and evaluation, no? So basically, the idea here is the students, no, the teacher designs the experience of the students, no, how the students reflect and how the students will act. That's designed by the teacher, no. And the teacher takes into consideration the context of the student before The teacher designs the experience, reflection, action. And afterwards, the teacher evaluates what happened to decide whether, you know, is there anything else that needs to be done to make sure that the students learn. So in a nutshell, this is what Ignatian pedagogy is. No? Maybe I'd like to tell a little story. I was president of Savior School in San Juan from 2001 to 2013. No? That's where I first met Je actually. Je, I think, Je, anong year ka ba pumasok sa Savior School? Do you remember what year you were there?
Father 2005.
2005. So 4 years after I started in Xavier, joined us. No, she became in charge of the faculty development and formation. So the work she's doing now is very much related to what she was doing before. No, so in Xavier School, I remember the first few weeks I was there. I talked to the faculty about Ignatian pedagogy at parang they weren't very happy kasi they felt it was really a burden, no? They didn't really know how to use it, no? So I guess you could compare their situation to your situation now, no? You're just beginning to learn about Ignatian pedagogy. And nakakatawa doon, Jesuit school sila, and they've been trying to do Ignatian pedagogy, but they were also a little bit confused, a little bit clueless, no? In fact, during a Paasco visit, um, a Lasal brother, no, who was one of the, actually is the president of Paasco now, si Brother Dodo Fernandez, no? He's a good friend of mine. He was telling me that every time he goes to an Ateneo or a Jesuit school, iba-iba raw intindi sa IPP, sa Ignatian pedagogy, no? So for me, that was a very good start, no? A very good reason to start the project of learning by refraction, no? So back in 2001, we decided, let's try to figure out what Ignatian pedagogy is. No? So we did some research. We conducted a lot of workshops. No? So actually, the master class you're going through is the result of years of giving training to teachers and improving, no, how our understanding of Ignatian pedagogy. We also consulted a lot of experts. Kasi ang mga tanong ng mga teachers lagi, paano? How do you use it in the classroom? No? There were so many articles that are so theoretical and academic about Ignatian pedagogy. But teachers always ask, give me an example. How do we do it in the classroom? How do we use it for our lesson plan? No? So at that time, hindi rin namin alam, hindi masyadong malinaw. No? We knew context, we knew experience, reflection, action, evaluation. But we were also being asked the same question as maybe what Paasco is asking you. No? So as a result of that, we decided to come out with this book, Learning by Refraction. No? So on the 25th anniversary of the original publication of Ignatian Pedagogy, back in 2018, no, we came up with this book, Learning by Refraction, A Practitioner's Guide to 21st Century Ignatian Pedagogy. No? This is our Father General actually. Bumibisita siya nun sa Manila and we asked him to post with the book para we can sell more books. No? I mean, he never even read it. So, but anyway, he was very game about it. So the pedagogy, as I said earlier, is based on Ignatian spirituality. But more importantly, it's a work by practitioners because I'm a practitioner, no? So I taught grade 7 English before in Xavier School when I was the president of Xavier. I'm really a teacher. So I'm a practitioner. So this book is really the result, the project of practitioners. And our audience, our intended audience, are people like you who are practitioners. You are trying to practice Ignatian pedagogy, you know, and you're encountering problems, you're encountering questions. So this book is meant to address those issues that people like you are encountering in your own practice, no? And as a result of that, um, we were really surprised by the global reception to this approach, no? As you can see here, we've been running the online master classes for the past few years, especially during the pandemic in Asia Pacific, in North America, no? In Europe, in Latin America, now in West Africa, no? So talagang there's a need for something practical. And you probably have the same issues, no? That's why you asked for this masterclass. So I hope that as you go through the modules, you will learn more on how to implement Ignatian pedagogy the way we did also a few years ago, no? Um, we've also had so many trainers training labs, no? In the Philippines, in Spain, in Australia. We're going to North America and to Africa next year. So talagang very global yung reception sa approach na to. And I think it's because it's very practical, no? It's not too theoretical. And I'm hoping that you will have the same experience. Module 1 pa lang yata ginagawa nyo. Module 1 is basically an introduction, no? But I'm hoping that once you go to Module 2 and Module 3, you will get the more concrete and practical tips on how to use Ignatian pedagogy, no? The book has been translated to several languages. The latest is Dutch, no, on the one on the left, but it's been translated to Chinese, Spanish, Brazilian, Portuguese, Polish, Thai, and it'll be translated to French, Japanese, Italian, Bahasa. So we're really overwhelmed by the refraction, by the reception to the book. But anyway, what also people like about our approach, we always say it's not a prescription. We're not requiring you to do the whole thing, no. It's one particular approach and one interpretation. There are many others, but we believe that the teacher is the best decision maker. Kung alin dito ang gagamitin nyo, no? For example, I don't know your context in Colegio de San Ignacio, no? You know your students better, you know your context better. So I'm hoping that within the master class, no, or in the book, if you have a copy of the book, you will find different ideas, no, and you will be the one to choose, no. You will be the one to choose. So our approach is always we give you conversation pieces. We want to provoke you to think and talk about your practice and Ignatian pedagogy. Thus, it's very important to pause, to reflect, and to share. No? So I'm going to stop here for a while, and I'm going to just pause here if you have questions so far about what I've talked about, or maybe about the module that you've taken up. No? Um, Baka may mga tanong kayo, no? Some challenges. I mentioned that we had this PAASCO issue many years ago, which started this project. Jet mentioned to me that PAASCO also brought that up to you, di ba? Na parang they were observing na parang kulang pa yung ginagawa niyong Ignatian pedagogy, no? So I think you're on the right track because of that, no? Sige, can I hear from some of you? Kung nahihiya kayo, mag-chat. Mag-chat kayo. Or you can type in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and speak up, no? Um, Sige, ang palagay nyo? How do you feel? How do you feel about the masterclass? Nabobore na ba kayo? Kasi puro lectures, puro pagmumukha ko at boses ko. Alam nyo ba, minsan dumalaw, nung una kong pumunta sa isang Jesuit school sa Australia, after they went through the masterclass, gulat na gulat sila when they met me in person. Alam niyo kung bakit? Kasi yung boses ko raw, hindi ganun kataas. Kasi nung pinapanood nila yung lecture, parang double yung speed. No? So they were, shortcut nila yung lecture. So mataas yung boses ko nung pinapakinggan nila. So hindi sila sanay sa boses ko. Anyway, any reaction? Anong pakiramdam nyo sa ginagawa nyong masterclass? Mahirap ba? Mabigat ba? No? Natututo ba kayo? No? Interesante ba?
Father Go, good evening, good afternoon. My question
No?
po ako, this is Teacher Caressa po.
Okay, hello.
Father Go, I just want to ask po, since we are a non-sectarian school, kumbaga, we don't have Ignatian spirituality talaga like cura personales, ganun. But we have our core values. I just want to ask Father, can you share us some most effective strategies for integrating our core school core values into the Ignatian, into the IPP to ensure that these values are deeply internalized and consistently reflected in the attitudes and actions of ours, both our students and teachers. Doon ata kami din nasita ng PAASCO na hindi clear. Yes, we are claiming that we are IPP, but it's not clear, not clear to them saan ba doon si IPP. We have the core values. The question is, saan po namin pwede i-integrate ang aming core values sa IPP?
Oh, magandang tanong yan. Thank you, Caressa, for your question. Pero parang namang comprehensive exam to. Hirap naman ang tanong mo, no? Pero siguro tatanong ko lang, ilang core values meron kayo?
Apat po.
Okay, apat. So what are they? What are the four core values?
Service, integrity, gratitude, and excellence.
Okay, obviously, I think they're very compatible naman with Ignatian values, di ba? So, I
Yes.
think the project is to just sort of articulate the connection. Maybe we can make that our project after this masterclass, no? So, once you gone through the masterclass, we can do a little project where we actually articulate explicitly the connections between your core values and the Ignatian values. Ang mga Jesuit schools kasi, meron na kaming parang ang tawag doon, siguro four characteristics of our graduate, di ba? Yung four C's, no? Yung competence, conscience, compassion, sa commitment, no? So I am sure we can actually, make that connection, no? Sandali lang. I just have an important phone call. Isip po na kayo ng question, okay? Sige.
Okay, it's okay. Thank you.
So Teacher Kares, parang hindi siya, when you say di ba, non-sectarian, hindi Catholic, the school is not a Catholic school? So,
Yes,
ano pa yung mga
Ma'am
first?
Jean.
Parang,
Pero hindi po talaga kami Catholic school, pero si Saint Ignatius po ang aming patron saint, and we also have Catholic practices. Opo. Parang complicated po ba, Ma'am Jean?
hindi kasi nang kukwento tayo na last week, parang,
Opo.
di ba meron tayong mga outreaches, parang may nabanggit kayong may nag-first communion?
Yes po, yes, meron kaming ganun first recollection, and for teachers, we have retreat. Ma'am Jean, na-connect na po kami sa Ateneo. Ay, mag-chika muna ako saglit, ma'am, ha. Wala pa man si Father Go. Tapos sabi po, si Ma'am Lacorte po, hindi na po pala siya yung AP, Assistant Principal ng Ateneo de Davao. Si Sir Paul na. Tapos since si Sir Paul is baguhan pa siya sa formation program ng Ateneo, hindi pa siya that confident. Pero sabi ni Ma'am Jean, nung connection po namin doon, we'll just write a letter. Kasi might be si Sir Paul, baka ma-change yung mind niya, eventually po, yun po ang suggestion ni Ma'am Jean Royo na yung aming kakilala sa Ateneo Tida.
Sayang. Sige, pag baka magtatanong-tanong din ako, magmamarites din ako. Pero baka kasi, good time for Ma'am Neng ngayon kung hindi siya nasa administration kasi that means she will have more time. Ayan na si Father.
So, yung Grab driver naliligaw eh. So, naawa naman ako, hindi ko sagutin, no? Kasi, anyway, so, sige, game. Asa na ba tayo? So, ano mga, so yung four C's, yun ang parang pinaka-core values ng Jesuit schools. But I don't see why your core values cannot be made compatible, di ba? So, it's just a matter of language, I think, no? So, we can make that a project at the end of this masterclass para at least nagawa na natin yon for Paasco next time, di ba? Na articulated na natin yung connection. So, keep that in mind when you're going to the masterclass. As you're learning about Ignatian pedagogy, try to think what can you connect your four values to, no? Service naman obvious na yun eh, yung service, di ba? Yung iba, very very Christian naman yung values na yun, so we can actually connect them. So thanks for mentioning that, no, Carasa. But I think that's going to be a very practical output that we can sort of aim for in this masterclass. Are there other questions that you might
Thank
have?
you, Father Go.
Thank you, Caressa. Any other question you might have? Sige, what I'll do is I'll go on with my presentation, no? And then we can maybe pause again for some Q&A, no? Pero huwag kayo mahihiya kasi ano naman eh. We're here to learn, no? Okay, so sige. So maybe I just want to quote the former Secretary of Jesuit Education before, no? Because I think this is very important, no? Sabi niya, the first Jesuits, when they opened schools, went to the supermarket of education to find the best ingredients and recipes for an educational approach consistent with their spiritual experience. No? So in a way, I think you're invited to do the same thing. No? By going through this master class, parang pinapa-shopping kayo. No? What are the best ingredients and recipes that will be consistent with your core values and your mission, di ba? I suspect there will be a lot of consistency. There will be a lot of compatibilities, no? So sabi nila, even more, they were aware that a truly good education requires continuous renewal, innovation, reinterpretation, and reinvention. So as we try to connect your core values to Ignatian values, no, in a way you're going to be reinterpreting, no, you will be sort of understanding those core values in a new way, no. And according to Codina also, if they wanted to actually provide quality education, they had to be attentive to the always changing context and open to new developments. So schools have to develop, schools have to grow, no. So that's why I really welcome this opportunity that your leadership and your faculty have decided to grow, no? To learn more about Ignatian pedagogy and to interpret it according to your mission. No? So, magsha-shopping tayo basically. So, you can think of the master class parang as a 7-Eleven of different things, no? Different items. No? And given the mission of your school and given your context, mag-shopping kayo. Pick out what you think will help you, what you think will make you more effective in your mission. So you get to choose, no? So it can be an exciting endeavor in that sense. So you're not required to take everything, to accept everything, no? I'm hoping you can get a lot of ideas. I'm hoping you will put a lot of ideas in your cart, no? Because obviously we want to be able to help you, but feel free, no? There is no pressure. Okay? So all the ideas, no, will only have meaning if you connect it to your context. Diba? So for example, if we talk about for example, we talk about reflection. Kung hindi nyo connect sa context nyo yan, walang kahulugan to, hindi siya relevant, diba? So really, the main task that you are being invited to undertake in this masterclass is to, to reflect on your practice kasi marami na kayong wisdom of practice, no? Even if what you've been doing has not been explicitly Ignatian, marami ng experience, di ba? So, and there's also a lot of wisdom as teachers. So draw from that wisdom. Okay? Sige. So ito yung ating ito yung snapshot nung um, Ignatian pedagogy. And the idea here really is each of these elements, no, they actually promote something important in the classroom, no? For example, context, we want to promote empathy, no? We want the teacher to be connected to the students. So kung magtuturo tayo, kung hindi natin iisipin ang context ng student, minsan parang gano'n, di ba? Hindi tayo swak sa mundo nila, di ba? So it's good to know what they already understand about the subject matter, but also how they feel, no? That's also important, no? Um, Experience is meant to promote empowerment, no? Because when we talk about experience, we don't want people to just listen to lectures, kasi they're not very empowered, they're very passive, di ba? So the way we design the classroom experience, hopefully there are other things that will make them active learners and also make them interactive learners, collaborating with other people. No? Reflection is meant to promote engagement. No? We want them to be engaged. No? We want them to find meaning in what they are learning. No? So reflection is really to make the learning meaningful. Yung action naman, we want to promote excellence. No, we want them to be excellent in the way they apply what they have learned. And finally, evaluation is really meant to increase the expertise and enthusiasm of the teacher. No? So, in a nutshell, no, we want the experience to be holistic. We want the we want the learning to be meaningful through reflection. We want the learning to be applicable through action. No? And then we want the learning to be relevant through context. And then database, depende sa kanilang performance. No, we want the learning to be database also. So this is the big picture, but the modules will walk you through each of the elements. Okay. So again, I just want to pause here and ask you if you have questions about the 5 elements of Ignatian pedagogy. I think at this point it's important to know the 5 elements: context, experience, reflection, action, and evaluation. Hinto ako ulit, just to have a little discussion with you. Okay, so may tanong ba kayo about the 5 elements? Meron bang hindi malinaw? Like, I'm not sure I understand context, for example, parang ganon, di ba? Or more or less malinaw na sa inyo kung ano yun.
Hello, Father. Good afternoon.
Hello, Evelyn. Good afternoon.
Parang in my early years kasi sa pagtuturo dito sa school, we were exposed to these 5 parts already sa preparation ng learning plans and of course sa delivery. Pero when Paasco visited us prior to pandemic, yun talaga po ang concern is on the reflection part kasi parang di namin naintindihan masyado yung part na yun. How will we drive reflection? Kasi ang lahat na lumalabas is yung quotations, like pause, writing, or prayer. Ganun lang po. Siguro may misconceptions kami doon sa
Parang
area
meron,
yun.
parang may misconception. Pero alam nyo, hindi kayo nag-iisa. We also encountered a lot of misunderstanding and malpractice of reflection in Jesuit schools, no? So what we've done is there's part of there are, I think, one or two lectures in the next module about reflection. And then I don't know if you have a copy of the book, but the book has very practical tips on how one way or several ways of driving reflection in the classroom. So I don't want to preempt the lecture, so I will not answer that first. Pero your questions are very relevant and they're not something new. All the Jesuit schools have been struggling with reflection, no, and have misunderstood reflection. No? I'd like to think that the master class will offer you something that is, parang something you will value, something you will be able to use, no? So something to look forward to. But that was really a very common situation when we were doing consultation and doing our research, no? And even up to now, when we go to the US, to Europe, that's always their problem. Parang reflection is the most difficult. And yet, when you think about it, it's also the most crucial today. No? Wala nang reflect ngayon di ba? Kasi
Yes.
wala nang oras mag-reflect So, isipin nyo kung hindi nyo matuturuan mag-reflect mga estudyante nyo sa classroom nyo, saan sila matututo? Hindi sa pamilya nila, hindi sa simbahan, hindi sa social media, di ba? The only opportunity they have to learn reflection is in your classroom. No? And I think it's also true for teachers, no? If we don't train our teachers to reflect, hindi rin magre-reflect mga teachers kasi that's the lifestyle today. Very anti-reflection ang lifestyle today. Unless you go out of your way to really think, no? Not to mention prayer. We're not even talking about prayer. Just to think critically, no? Wala nang oras That's why daming fake news. Kasi yung mga tao, headline pa nakita, sinishare na agad, di naman binabasa yung article, di ba? There was an experiment on Facebook where what they did was they wrote a fake article with a very nice title, with a very nice first two paragraphs, but the third, fourth, and fifth paragraph were all nonsense. No? So what they did was they shared the article and they tracked how many people shared the article. No? Ang nakita na 70%. No? Kasi hindi nila binasa buo. Sinare nila, hindi nila alam na nonsense pala yung third, fourth, and fifth paragraph. Well, there's no more time to think carefully or to read carefully, di ba? We all want a shortcut. We want, just give me the summary. Parang ganon, di ba? Kaya nga okay yung ChatGPT kasi pwede natin ipa-summarize, di ba? But the problem is, we don't have time anymore to really think, no? That's why reflection today is so important. So I really appreciate Ivelyn's question, but I don't want to preempt the lectures. So let's wait a bit before we go on, okay? Sige. Anything else? Any other question? Parang Jet mentioned that there was some discussion about Lonergan. Tama ba yun? Parang, actually, paborito ko yun si Lonergan. No? Kasi sa Ignatian pedagogy mismo, hindi naman binanggit si Lonergan. Pero, when you're learning, you're making connections. Actually, when you're reflecting on something, you're making connections. So that's one, I think, quick definition of reflection. No? When you're making connections, when you're connecting one idea with other ideas that you've learned in the same subject or in other subjects, no, you're actually reflecting, no. So parang nag-reflect ako no na parang connected to kay Lonergan, no. So let me just say a little bit about him, no. So si Lonergan, para kay Lonergan, parang remember these the IPP's experience, reflection, action, di ba? Ang kinaganda ni Lonergan, I think he clarifies what each of these means, no. According to him kasi, there are different levels of cognition. The way for somebody to say that he or she is a knower, that person has to have four levels. No? And here are the four levels: the empirical, the intellectual, the rational, and the responsible levels. No? What does he mean by that? Empirical is basically experience. No? Lahat ng nararanasan natin sa mundo. No? So the events around us, but also what happens inside us. Whenever we experience something, we have thoughts and we have feelings, di ba? Kasama yun sa experience. So when we talk about experience in IPP, we're not just talking about external events. We're also talking about what's happening inside the person. No? E minsan mas importante pa yun, di ba? More crucial than the event that happens is our thoughts and feelings, di ba? So kasama yan sa empirical, sa experience. No? Tapos, yung susunod na level, yung intellectual. What does he mean by that? Basically, to understand. No? For example, there's an idea. No? What is the meaning of this idea? No? You have to understand it. It's important for you to use your intellect, no, to understand the idea. Pero sabi niya, that's only one half of reflection. No? Understanding something is not reflection already. No? Reflection requires the next level, which is the rational level. No? What happens here? No? After understanding an idea, you have to make a decision, you have to make a judgment. Tama ba yung idea o mali? No? So, importanteng intindihin mo muna yung idea and then you decide it's right or it's wrong. This is what critical thinking is all about. No? Critical thinking is not just understanding what other people say, then bow ka na lang, you agree with everyone. Hindi ganoon, no? Critical thinking, which requires reflection, is understanding plus judgment. Pagkatapos mong intindihin yung sinasabi ng tao, pagkatapos mong intindihin yung sinasabi ng libro, o ng balita, o ng article, o ng newsfeed, you have to make a decision. Tama ba o mali? Di ba? And that's what makes it reflection. So reflection is almost equal to critical thinking. And as we know, critical thinking today is an endangered species, di ba? Konting-konti lang critical thinking, no? And finally, of course, the fourth level for Lonergan is action, response, the level of the responsible level, no? That's when we make a decision. So we make a decision after understanding and after deciding whether a particular idea is correct or not, no? So parang merong four commandments si Lonergan, which I think is a good way to end this little input, no? So his four commandments are to be attentive, no, to your experience, both outside you and inside you. Eh dito pa lang marami nang hindi kaya gawin to eh, 'di ba? Attention is such a where many of us are attention deficit already, no? Parang we get bored so easily, we can't focus, there's a very disturbing study showing that very few college students actually finish reading a book, no? Wala, wala na. It's becoming a lost art, no? So, just to be attentive, just to focus, nawawala na yon. Tapos pangalawa, be intelligent. The second commandment is to be intelligent. In short, when somebody presents an idea to you, try to understand it, no? Intindihin mo, unawain mo, no ba? Eh kaso, yun din, parang many of us are too lazy to do the work because you have to work to understand. Minsan kung komplikado yung idea, sasakit ang ulo mo. Hindi tawag din ng nosebleed, di ba? You have to nosebleed. You have to feel it for you to understand, no? But that's not enough, no? It's not enough to be, you have to be reasonable. After understanding an idea, you have to say, tama ba to o mali? At bakit siya tama at bakit siya mali? Bakit ako sang-ayon? Bakit ako hindi sang-ayon? Di ba? That's what critical thinking is all about. And finally, the fourth commandment from Lonergan is to be responsible. No? We have to be responsible, which means that we have to be attentive, intelligent, reasonable before we make a decision, before we take action. So, ang ganda ng framework, no, na kay Lonergan. It's very much compatible with Ignatian pedagogy. Parang napapalalim niya yung experience, reflection, and action. Now, tell me, which school does not want its students to be attentive, intelligent, reasonable, responsible? No? If you want your students to be knowers, no, they have to be attentive, intelligent, reasonable, and responsible. Dapat all four. Dapat all of the above. No? So, this whole journey that you're going through of trying to understand Ignatian pedagogy, it's very possible na ginagawa nyo na yung marami rito. It's possible. Maybe you're already intuitive about it. Maybe you're already using Ignatian pedagogy implicitly. But kung intuitive at implicit lang, usually occasional lang ang practice, no? Hindi siya consistent, no? So I'm hoping that by going to the masterclass, no, your grasp of Ignatian pedagogy will be more intentional, no? It'll be more explicit para matuwa na rin ang paas ko sa inyo pag explicit siya, di ba? But as a result of being more intentional explicit, it'll also be more consistent, no? Mas regular yung paggamit yun ng Ignatian pedagogy. Okay? So I'd like to end my ano there, my input for today, you know, and just open it up for discussion. May mga tanong ba kayo or questions or reactions? Is it making sense? Sige, here's what we'll do. I'll break you out into triads, no? Or dyads, no? Jet, let's do that, no? And then mag-usap muna kayo. Magbulungan muna kayo dyan, your reactions, no? And then we'll get back together for a few minutes of plenary. Is that okay? So I'll break you out into, ilan ba kayo? 17, no? So I'll break you out into maybe six breakout rooms, no? Uh, and we will assign you automatically, no? So here are the rooms. So please join the rooms, and after about 10 minutes, we'll ask you to come back. Okay? Sige.
You can already join the rooms.
Pero San Ignacio ang name nyo? Ganun ba yun?
Yes, yes,
Ano ba kayong
Father.
religion class? May Christian life? Ano ba? Wala. May religion class ba kayo?
Values ed po, Father.
So walang religion. So non-sectarian nga. Oh. The other question from Fernando naman is, as leaders, how can we guide our teachers in crafting reflections and actions in their learning plans? Yeah, you have to learn it first. So let's wait for the module and then we can discuss how to go about that. No? Okay, so just volunteers, any comment, question from your group, no? Just unmute yourself and then share with us some question, one comment, or one reaction. Sige, it doesn't have to be your own. It can be from somebody in your group. Okay, so sige, feel free.
Good evening po, Father.
Hi, Joseph. Hello.
I'm Joseph po. I am from room 6 po. So my partner is Teacher Mi Amor. And actually, before we even reach out or we even discussed about our insights about the session, so we had a prior discussion about the loner gun reflection. So we had a discussion some time ago that how can we be sure that our judgment is the right judgment. Then earlier you discussed that, okay, it's about critical thinking. So we answered that one. And we're thankful and grateful for the session actually because it clarified some things for us. And overall, when we discussed during the breakout session, we talk about what areas did we grow after listening to module 1. So we discussed about it's more on the reflection and action, though it's a totality of IPP. Because I believe when we came to this institution, mostly our knowledge is just sort of hand-me-down knowledge about IPP. So that's why we're really grateful for this opportunity to discover really what IPP is and also the elements concerning IPP. We now have a good understanding about the elements, how interconnected the elements are, and how we can actually use these elements in our classes, especially the reflection and action po. So we're happy that we are still learning and we're excited for the next module po. Thank you for Father.
Salamat, Joseph. Siguro two things lang. First, yung how do we know if our judgment is correct? Siguro one important idea about knowledge is that certainty is not important, no? Parang kasi we grew up, 'di ba? We were taught that we have to be 100% sure. But the problem is the more important questions in life, the more complicated questions are never certain. So when you make a judgment to the best of your knowledge. So tentative siya kasi baka may bagong data, may bagong evidence, 'di ba? So the sign of a real thinker or a critical thinker is always tentativeness, no? And openness. Si Einstein, every time he wrote an article and made a claim, for example, the theory of relativity, he always said, "It seems to me." Laging tentative kasi baka mali siya eh, di ba? And the most intelligent people, the best thinkers, are always aware that whenever they say something or whenever they understand something, it's only based on what they've understood so far. Lagi may bago, di ba? Isn't that the sign of a real knower and learner, di ba? Na you're always open. But the problem is a lot of us have been conditioned na kailangan sigurado tayo, no? Pero hindi ganoon ang mga tanong eh. Ang mga importanteng tanong, hindi sigurado yung sagot eh, 'di ba? Like, what's the meaning of your life? Sigurado ka ba kung ano? Parang hindi, 'di ba? It's something that you create as you go along eh, no? Parang ganoon. Tapos yung connections, nabanggit kanina ni Jet, na napag-usapan nyo dati yung bakit yung context sa evaluation wala sa gitna, di ba? Bakit siya parang separate? The reason is, yung ang pinaka-point ng Ignatian Pedagogy, we want our students to experience, to reflect, and to act. Yun ang gusto natin gawin nila. So, ang magandang tanong, if pa-ask ko ask you, are you doing IPP? You have to show them our students experience, reflect, and act. Kung masagot nyo yun, IPP na kayo. Yung context and evaluation is done for the sake of designing the experience, reflection, and action. Diba? You need to know the context of the student so you can design the learning, no? And you want to evaluate to improve your design. Ganun lang yun. So, mas importante yung tatlo talaga. So, tama yung observation nyo. Sige. Anyone else? I think we have time for maybe one more. One more group. Sinong courageous to to share what the group talked about or what questions or comments the group had? Alam mo sa class ko nagtatawag ako after I give them time to to have a discussion, but I won't do it today. Or should I do it today? Magtatawag ba ako? Nag-volunteer na lang kayo. Sino tinatawag niyo?
Father, nakakatawa. Iba kasi in one room, makikita mo sila behind each other. Nakakatawa sila.
Kasama lang pala sila eh, no? Kala mo kung saan sila Oo.
Sige, magtanong na kayo. Siguro, Ma'am Sofia, it's your chance. Maybe. Yan.
Mia Moore.
Si Mia Moore.
Mia
Sige.
Moore ba? Mia Moore? Yan. Siguro,
Okay,
siguro pinilit ka, no? Pinilit ka ba?
hindi po. Magkasama po kami ni Joseph.
Baka may sumisiko sa iyo dyan sa tabi mo, hindi ko alam. Oh,
Hindi rin po. Magkasama po kami ni Joseph, Father. Kasi
okay.
we were discussing about it, and then I asked him what is the relevance of this session that we have as a teacher. So we have reflected na we find ako personally, I really appreciate the session that we have, and I've seen the essence po as a teacher na in one of our session kasi it was presented yung the knowledge that the student have already. So they can Google everything, yung ganon. And then I've tried na, well, why not empower them and then try to ask them what is their idea about it. That was part of the session. And I enjoy dealing with the students because literally, basically, they really have all the knowledge, Father. All you have to do is to facilitate. And
Yeah.
then you can see that the children really engage well with the discussion because they can relate, because that is based on the context that they have. So, in relation to that, our dilemma lang with Sir Joseph is that if we have a really enough time to discuss about it, to enjoy the discussion. Kaya lang, Father, may mga competencies tayo and schedule to na habulin po. So, yun yung dilemma is, ano bang priority to yung competencies po ba or the experiences of the children po?
It's a question of balancing talaga, no? Siguro isang bagay na parang that we discovered is that people thought before that you have to have reflection in every single class. Hindi naman kailangan eh, 'di ba? So, kaya nauubusan ng oras kasi bawat klase reflection kayo. Hindi mo kailangan gano'n, no? Ang importante ideally for every topic, no? Magkaroon ng konting reflection. Tapos yung reflection, for example, let's say one topic takes 3 classes or 3 sessions. It'll be nice to have a reflection somewhere there, di ba? And reflection can be a journal, it can be a discussion, it can be a individual, paisipin mo sila. Iba-ibang klaseng reflection yan eh. So there are many creative ways that you as a teacher can come up with, no? And you're not required to do reflection in every single class, no? Ideally in one topic, may at least konting reflection, 'di ba? But if not, okay lang naman, 'di ba? Ang hindi maganda yung wala kayong reflection talaga, 'di ba? 'Yun ang hindi maganda, no? So I would say that the recommendation is for every topic merong isang reflection in some form, no? Okay, I'm mindful of our time. It's already 6 o'clock. So what I'd like to do is just encourage you. No, I think I really am happy. I think you're on the right track. You're trying to understand Ignatian pedagogy, and kahit na Ignatian school kayo, you're not completely a Jesuit school. I just want to assure you that we're going through the same thing, no, a few years ago. So I think you're taking the right step in reaching out to us and trying to learn about Ignatian pedagogy. I'm excited to hear from you next time and to see. Although the next time will be, I think it will be Rita, no? The next time.
Yes.
So, my team is really excellent and they're very eager to meet you. So, huwag kayong mahihiya kasi kami walang hiya din kami. Parang ganon. So, makapal mukha namin. And for me, honestly, discussions are not times for speeches. So don't prepare a speech when you're going to recite. No? Discussions are for you to think out loud. And when we're thinking, we're always tentative, we're not sure, we change, di ba? So we have to practice how to think out loud, no? So I hope our sessions in Zoom will be like that. Okay? Sige.
Okay.
And I hope your classes will also be like that. Kasi dapat turuan nyo yung mga bata mag-isip, di ba? Kung gusto nila, kung akala nila all you want is a speech every time, hindi naman maganda yon. They will not speak pag ganon, di ba? Mahihiya sila. Okay, Je?
Sige. So we'd like to thank Father Johnny for joining us tonight. Maraming salamat, Father Johnny. I've already published the module 2 and hopefully you will get more answers to your questions. And in our next webinar, it will be Miss Rita Atienza. So siya po yung co-author ni Father Johnny's book. And you can really ask your questions and she will give you the answers at that time. So
Rita is a much sought after facilitator talaga, no? So please take advantage of her presence. Magtanong lang kayo, she'll be so happy to share whatever she knows, no? So thank you very much and God bless you all. Okay. Thank you.
thank you very much. And
Thank you, Father. Thank you, Ma'am.
Thank you, Ma'am G. Thank you, Father.
bye-bye.
Okay.
Sige. Uy, okay ba kayo?
Ay, okay po.
Okay ba kayo?
Bye. Thank you so much.
Enjoy naman kayo.
Thank you, Ma'am.
Yes
Oo,
po,
enjoy.
enjoy naman.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.